My name is Olivia Parker, and I'm 28 years old, and the day I found out my entire family had gone to Paris without me didn't come from a phone call, a text, or even a passing mention. No, it came from a Facebook album titled Paris Family Trip 2024 that popped up while I was reheating leftover pasta on a Wednesday night. 82 photos of my parents, my sisters, their husbands, their kids, even my Aunt Denise, who hasn't left Ohio in 15 years, all posing in front of the Eiffel Tower like a perfect postcard family, smiling so wide you'd think joy was hereditary, except apparently it skipped me. 3 weeks earlier, my mom had sworn the family's anniversary trip was canceled because of budget issues, and like an idiot, I believed her. I returned my hiking boots. I canceled my vacation days. I moved on. And then Paris happened without me. And the worst part, a week after those croissants, cruises, and champagne toasts, they called me with straight voices and asked if I could lend them $5,000. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tell me where you're watching from. 3 weeks before the Paris photos shattered me, my mom called while I was halfway through cleaning bugs out of a piece of code that had been driving me insane for 2 days straight. I almost didn't answer. My brain was fried, my eyes hurt, and I wanted nothing more than to close my laptop and lie face down on the floor. But when it's Mom, you answer. "Honey," she sighed, voice trembling just enough to sound sincere, "I have bad news." My stomach tightened. I thought maybe something happened to Dad or one of my sisters. "What's wrong?" I asked. "The anniversary trip, we have to cancel it." I froze. Our parents' 40th anniversary trip, a cozy week in Vermont at a lakeside cabin, was something we'd been planning for months. I'd bought hiking boots. I'd requested PTO. I'd even practiced toasting marshmallows the way she likes them, golden, not burnt. Cancel? Why? Another sigh. Budget issues. Your father's truck needs a new transmission. About $1,500. We just can't afford both right now. I felt guilty for even offering, but I said it anyway. "Mom, I can help. I can cover part of it." "No, sweetheart," she insisted. "You just got that promotion. You should save your money. We'll just do something small, maybe dinner." She made it sound so reasonable that I actually felt bad she even had to explain it. I apologized. I canceled my time off. I returned the hiking boots. And for 3 weeks, I never questioned anything, not the sudden cancellation, not the vague timeline, not even the strange tightness in her voice. I didn't realize it then, but that was the moment they chose to lie. The moment they chose a trip without me and a story that kept me comfortably out of the way. The night everything unraveled wasn't special. No big event, no dramatic music, just me, my couch, a lukewarm bowl of leftover pasta, and the kind of tired that makes your soul feel blurry. I opened Facebook just to numb my brain for a minute, scroll, memes, baby pictures, someone from high school selling skincare. And then I saw it. Rachel Parker uploaded 82 new photos. The album title hit me like a slap I didn't see coming. Paris Family Trip 2024 red sparkles. For a full 5 seconds I thought maybe Facebook glitched. Maybe Rachel uploaded someone else's pictures by mistake. I tapped the album and my world tilted. There they were, my entire family standing at the airport with matching luggage. Then on the plane, champagne glasses raised. Then outside cafes, holding croissants like they were doing a travel commercial. Then the Eiffel Tower. The Louvre. A river cruise, a hotel balcony with a sunrise so perfect it hurt. I scrolled through all 82 photos, slowly, carefully, like maybe somewhere in the background, behind someone's shoulder or next to a lamppost, I'd accidentally photobombed the trip I never went on. But no, every face was there except mine, not a single mention of me, not a comment like "wish Olivia could be here." Nothing. Just digital proof that they had lived an entire dream week without me while I sat at home believing in budget issues and canceled cabins. My fork hovered in midair. My pasta went cold. My heartbeat sounded like a drum in a movie theater. And then came the worst part, the part that made my hands shake. A TikTok video embedded inside the album. My mom laughing, hair blowing in the Paris wind, holding a glass of champagne. 40 years, celebrating love, she shouted. I stared at the screen numb. They didn't forget me. They didn't accidentally leave me out. They chose to. I wish I could say I reacted calmly, that I took a deep breath and thought, there must be a logical explanation. But no. My brain went into survival mode, grabbing at any rationalization it could find, like a drowning person reaching for a floating leaf. Maybe these were old photos. No, Rachel's youngest was wearing a shirt that literally saw "Id Paris 2024" in bright red letters. Maybe it was a sponsored thing, a work trip, A last-minute deal. No, the captions were too personal, too excited, too planned. So I did what desperate people do. I went through the album again from the beginning, slower this time, looking for mistakes, a date stamp, a shadow, a reflection, something, anything. Nothing. Then came the second punch. A message notification lit up my phone. Rachel, Paris was amazing. You would have loved it. We missed you, Red Heart. We missed you. Like I chose not to go. Like I said, no thanks, enjoy France without me. I didn't reply, I couldn't. My throat felt tight, like my body didn't trust me to speak without exploding. I opened my banking app next, don't ask me why. Maybe instinct, maybe spite, maybe a need to make the pain make sense. And there it was. $200 to my mom for groceries. $300 to Rachel for emergency car repairs. $150 to my older sister for kids' school supplies. In the last month alone, I'd sent my family $650. $650 while they were quietly saving for Paris. $650 while telling me there were budget issues. $650 while posting croissants, champagne, and Eiffel Tower sunsets. My chest hurt, literally hurt. I tried to work, I tried to act normal. But every time I blinked, I saw them smiling, eating gelato, making memories, while I sat at my desk under fluorescent lighting, debugging code that already hated me. And the thought that sat heaviest was, they didn't invite me. It was they lied together, as a group. By the time I got home that night, I felt hollow, like someone had scooped my insides out and left me running on fumes. I dropped my bag on the floor, sat cross-legged on my couch, and opened something I'd been avoiding for months, our family group chat. I had muted it ages ago because it was mostly my sisters spamming pictures of their kids eating fruit or doing crafts made entirely of glitter. But now I needed answers. I scrolled up. And there it was, 3 full weeks of messages I had never seen. 3 weeks of planning, packing lists, outfit coordination, restaurant reservations in French, jokes about berets, hotel confirmations, and worst of all, screenshots of ticket purchases, flight times, arrival details, airport car service. My mom even sent a message that read, "Everyone ready for Paris? Only 10 days left. Smiling sparkles, 10 days left." 10 days before she told me, voice trembling with fake sadness, that the Vermont trip was canceled due to budget issues. I scrolled slower, reading every line like it was evidence in a trial, because it was. Not one person said, "Should we tell Olivia?" Not one person said, "Is Olivia coming?" Not even a courtesy, "Do we need to invite your sister too?" Nothing. They talked around me like I didn't exist, like I was a distant cousin, a coworker. A stranger who occasionally mailed them money. My heart dropped when I saw their messages during the week of the trip, Rachel sending selfies in front of the Eiffel Tower. My mom writing, "This was worth every penny." Ashley sending pictures of her kids eating gelato, captioned, "Memories that last forever." Memories I wasn't allowed in. Memories they didn't even consider including me in. I locked my phone and stared at the wall. I wasn't forgotten. I wasn't overlooked. I wasn't an afterthought. I was intentionally excluded. And the worst part, they all agreed to it, together. For the first time in my life, I let the truth settle. They didn't want me there. Not on that trip, not in those memories, not in that version of the family. A week passed after the Paris discovery and I stayed silent. I didn't text, didn't comment, didn't acknowledge the album that exposed everything. I think part of me was waiting, hoping someone in my family would reach out and admit what they'd done. But they didn't. Not one person said a word, not one apology, not even a half-hearted excuse. Then on a quiet Thursday evening my phone rang. Mom. Her name lit up my screen like a warning sign. I debated letting it ring out, but curiosity, stupid, stubborn curiosity, made me answer. "Hi honey, I've been trying to reach you all day," she chirped, sounding annoyingly cheerful. "I've been busy," I said, which was true, busy holding my sanity together. "Well," she continued brightly, "I need to talk to you about something important." For half a second my heart lifted. Maybe she was going to apologize, maybe she'd explain, maybe, just maybe, she'd say, "I'm sorry we hurt you. Ed, we're in a bit of a financial bind again." That sentence drained the warmth out of my body. "Your father's truck is acting up," she sighed dramatically. "The transmission again and some other bills piled up. We need about $5,000. Can you help us out?" I stared at the wall. $5,000 after Paris, after champagne, after river cruises and fancy dinners. after 82 photos of a trip I supposedly didn't know about. Hello, Olivia, are you there? I'm here. So. Can you help? She asked, like she wasn't asking me to bankroll their life choices again. I opened my laptop not to check my bank account but to open Photoshop. I created a screenshot of a banking app message, transaction failed, insufficient funds, looks identical to the real app. I saved it. Let me see what I can do, I told her, voice calm, too calm, I'll get back to you. Thank you, sweetheart, you're such a good daughter, I knew I could count on you. Good daughter, the words tasted rotten. She had no idea what was coming next. I spent the rest of that night staring at my laptop, the fake insufficient funds screenshot glowing on the screen like a quiet rebellion. For 28 years, I'd been the peacekeeper, the helper, the wallet, the one who patched the holes so no one else had to feel uncomfortable. But something inside me had snapped the moment Mom said $5,000 like it was pocket change. Maybe it was Paris. Maybe it was the lies. Maybe it was realizing they never even considered me part of the family trip. But whatever it was, it pushed me past a boundary I didn't even know I had. I opened the family group chat, the one that had planned Paris behind my back. I typed slowly, carefully, making sure every word was polite enough to be undeniable, but sharp enough to cut me. Hi everyone. Mom reached out to me about needing $5,000 for an emergency. Unfortunately, I'm unable to help right now. I attached the fake screenshot. However, I did some math that might help. I paused, took a deep breath, and let the pettiness sharpen into precision. Since 8 people just returned from Paris, it seems fair to split the $5,000 evenly among those who were able to afford the anniversary trip. My heart thudded in my chest as I typed the breakdown. $5,000 divided by 8 equals $625 each. Or if you prefer couple-based splitting, $5,000 divided by 4 equals $1,250 per couple. Let me know how you'd like to handle it. I'll forward Mom's original message below. Hope this helps. I read it 3 times, calm, helpful, devastating. Then I hit send, the digital equivalent of lighting a fuse, but I wasn't done. As a final stroke, I added one last line. I'll be stepping back from the family chat for a while. You all have the information. And before anyone could respond, before they could guilt me, gaslight me, or twist the narrative like they always did, I tapped leave group. The chat disappeared, silence. Then 40 seconds later, my phone lit up like fireworks. Mom calling, Rachel calling, Ashley calling, texts flooding in from numbers I didn't save. I turned my phone face down, let them scream in the dark. For the first time in my life, I was done playing the family accountant. The first hour after I left the family group chat felt like standing in the eye of a hurricane. Everything was silent except my heartbeat. Then the storm hit. My phone buzzed nonstop. Calls, texts, voicemails, angry paragraphs from numbers I didn't recognize. I didn't open any of them. I wasn't in the mood to be guilt-tripped, lectured, or emotionally manipulated by people who had enjoyed croissants on the Champs-Élysées while I ate microwaved noodles. I turned on Do Not Disturb. Made a sandwich, put on a comfort show, let them spiral without me. But then something happened that made my jaw drop. A Venmo notification. From Ashley. $5. Memo, budget issues face with tears of joy. She was mocking me. Mocking the exact lie they used to ghost me out of a Paris trip. Then another one. Rachel's husband, Matt. $5. Memo for the Paris Fund lol. Then a third. Aunt Denise. $5. Memo, family helps family, red face. I stared at the screen, the pettiness actually unbelievable. Instead of apologizing, instead of acknowledging what they'd done, they decided to joke. Fine. If they wanted to play games, I could play too. I accepted all 3 payments. Then I opened Venmo and began sending official requests, no jokes, no emojis, no passive aggression, just math. To Ashley. Request $625. Memo, your share of Mom's $5,000 emergency. See group message, thank you. To Matt. Request $625. Memo, your portion of the $5,000 per Paris breakdown. To Aunt Denise. Request $625. Memo based on your attendance in Paris. Thank you. And I didn't stop there. I sent the same $625 request too. Rachel. Rachel's husband. My mom. My dad. Uncle Greg. 8 requests total. $5,000 exactly. Perfect maths. Perfect symmetry. Perfect revenge. My phone began vibrating again, furious texts pouring in, calling me dramatic, unhinged, childish, disrespectful. But I felt calm. Still. Sharp. For 28 years, they expected me to bend. To pay. To swallow hurt quietly. Not anymore. This was the first time I'd ever made them uncomfortable. And I was just getting started. By the next morning, my phone looked like it was possessed. Over 100 notifications, missed calls, new numbers trying to reach me, and more angry Venmo messages than any human should ever have to witness. I didn't open a single one. I didn't need to. The louder they got. The clearer it became, I had finally disrupted a system they'd relied on for years. Their free labor, their emotional cushion, their wallet, me. Around noon, I did something impulsive, maybe reckless, but absolutely necessary. I opened Facebook, the same cursed app where I'd discovered my family's Paris adventure. I clicked Create Post. My hands were steady, my breathing calm. I uploaded 2 screenshots. Mom's message asking me for $5,000. My math breakdown explaining the Paris split. Then I typed, "When your family lies about canceling a trip due to budget issues, goes to Paris without you, and then asks for $5,000 a week later, the math speaks for itself." And then, because I was done protecting the people who never protected me, I tagged every single person who went to Paris. Mom, Dad, Rachel, Ashley, their husbands, Aunt Denise, Uncle Greg. For the first time, they could feel exposed. Accountable. Visible. I hit post. Within minutes, the reactions exploded. Likes. Comments. Shares. People I barely knew started chiming in. This is insane. The audacity. I'm so sorry, Olivia. You paid their bills and they did this. Then came the comment that froze me. My cousin Sophie. They did the same thing to my family last Christmas. My stomach twisted. So this wasn't their first time. This was a pattern, exclusion wrapped in excuses, covered with manipulation, topped with guilt trips. And suddenly, I wasn't alone. I wasn't the overreacting daughter. I was the one who finally said something. Then the chaos really began. Rachel called. Then texted. Then called again. When I didn't answer, she left a voicemail dripping with rage. Take the post down, you're humiliating the family. No, sweetheart. They humiliated me. I just provided the screenshots. Mom tried next, switching between crying, insulting, and pleading in a 3-minute audio message. I didn't respond. Not this time. Not ever again on her terms. By evening, the post had over 200 likes and dozens of comments calling out my family. My truth was out. Their narrative was cracked. And for the first time in years, I felt something close to peace. 3 months passed, and if you had told me back then how different my life would look, I wouldn't have believed you. Not because anything dramatic happened, no big explosion, no courtroom showdown, no family apology tour. The change came from what didn't happen. Silence, space, the absence of constant demands, guilt trips, and emotional landmines. And in that silence, something strange happened. I healed. Work became easier. My mind wasn't cluttered with worry about who would ask for money next or what lie I'd be fed. I got promoted again. Turns out, when you're not your family's emotional punching bag, you actually have energy. Jenny, my coworker and unofficial emotional support human, took me out to celebrate. You look lighter, she said as we clinked glasses. And she was right. I didn't feel like I was carrying 100 pounds of someone else's problems anymore. And my family. Oh, they spiraled quietly. I didn't unblock them, but news found its way to me. A cousin me screenshots of the family group chat dissolving into chaos, fighting, finger-pointing, mom crying that I'd ruined Paris retroactively. But the truly shocking part. 2 people actually paid. Uncle Greg, $625. Memo for the truck, you were right. Aunt Denise, $625. Memo, I'm sorry about Paris. I stared at those payments for a long time. 2 people who barely talked to me were the only ones who took responsibility. I left their money in a separate savings folder labeled, "Proof not everyone is awful." Life outside of my family started expanding too. I got closer to Jenny. She treated me like a human being, not a resource. She invited me to her family's Thanksgiving. They laughed loudly. They argued over mashed potatoes. They asked me if I wanted seconds. It felt warm. Then out of nowhere, I heard from my cousin Sophie, the one who commented on my Facebook post. She was in town and wanted to grab coffee. We ended up talking for 2 hours about dysfunctional families, boundaries, trauma, and finally choosing yourself. When we hugged goodbye, she whispered, "You're going to be okay, Olivia." And I believed her. For the first time in my 28 years, I wasn't orbiting my family's chaos. I was standing on my own ground, my own life, my own peace. And God, it felt good. December rolled in, the season of forced cheer and family obligation, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel dread waiting for the holidays. No anxiety over whose feelings I'd accidentally hurt or which bill I'd be guilted into paying. Just quiet, soft, clean quiet. I spent Christmas Eve with Jenny's family, who insisted on making room for me like I had always belonged there. Her mom hugged me so tightly I almost cried. Her dad told corny jokes. The house smelled like cinnamon and warmth. It was chaotic, loud, imperfect, and safe. Everything my childhood home never was. A fee. Days later, I received a text from an unknown number. "Mom, your father's birthday is next week. Dinner at Rachel's, you're invited if you want, no pressure, no pressure." The same woman who once weaponized guilt like a professional was now tiptoeing. I stared at the message for a long moment. Part of me wanted to say yes. Not because I missed them, but because I missed the idea of them. The imaginary version of my family who loved me the way I'd always hoped. But the real version. The one who excluded me from Paris, lied to my face, mocked me, and only reached out when they needed money. That family didn't exist anymore. I typed carefully, "Thank you for the invitation. I'm not ready yet, maybe someday. Hope Dad has a great birthday." Short, polite, firm. No explanation. No apology. Just a boundary. A boundary I should have set years ago. There was no reply, and strangely that felt perfect. February came, my birthday month. For the first time ever, my phone didn't explode with last-minute family texts pretending to remember. But I didn't feel sad. Jenny threw me a small surprise party at the office. My coworkers sang loudly and off-key. Sophie drove 2 hours to bring me my favorite cake. People who weren't obligated to love me showed up, because they wanted to. And as I looked around at the warmth, the laughter, the genuine care, I realized something. This was family. Not DNA, not guilt, not manipulation. Family was people who actually showed up. Late that night, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Rachel. I know you probably won't respond, but congratulations on your promotion. You deserve it." I thought for a long moment before typing back. "A thank you. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. Just acknowledgement." Because sometimes healing isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's choosing peace over chaos, even if the chaos shares your last name. And as for the Paris photos, all 82 of them were still on Facebook. But I hadn't looked at them in months. I didn't need to. I had finally built a life where their choices no longer defined me. And that, in the end, was the real victory. If you've ever been made to feel small, forgotten, or used by the people who were supposed to love you first, just know this: you're not alone. And you're not wrong for choosing peace over chaos. If Olivia's story resonated with you, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share your own experience in the comments. Your voice matters more than you think. And who knows, your story might be the one someone else needs to finally walk away from the pain they've been carrying for years.